I was discovered by Dean Rusk. I was selling watermelons in the back of a truck, and Mr. Rusk was passing by, and I had a beautiful tenor voice in those days. Watermelons. And he said, would you do that again? And I said, sure, Mr. Rusk. Watermelon. He took my name and address, said he had a lot of connections. And he also purchased this huge watermelon we had in the back of the truck. We never expected to sell it. It was one of those freaky watermelons. We use it to sit on and carve out tic-tac-toe games on it. And I said, gee, Mr. Russ, that's a big watermelon you're buying. You having a party or something? He said, no, I'm buying it as a pet. And I didn't say anything. I figured, well, to each his own, you know. I finally did get into show business myself, and for years I traveled all over the country, worked in small towns, small nightclubs. And being shy and introverted by nature, I didn't have too many friends. I'd get very lonely. And one night I was sitting in a small, dingy hotel room in Peoria, Illinois, feeling lonely and desperate for companionship. And I thought back to those days on the watermelon truck and Dean Rusk and his pets. And I wondered if maybe he didn't have something there. As I said, I was desperate enough to try anything, and I walked around town and found a little fruit store. You had the watermelons piled up outside. And I kind of browsed around the watermelons, just trying to feel a rapport with one of them. I was about to give it all up when I noticed this one watermelon was winking at me. Well, I bought the watermelon, and I felt kind of silly as I was taking it up the elevator to my room. But I figured, well, if it didn't work out, I could always eat it. And I must tell you, it turned out to be a fantastic relationship. That watermelon and I really hit it off. I didn't need anyone. We were real buddies. I'd sleep with it. I'd cuddle it. I'd tell the watermelon my troubles. I'd try out new jokes on the watermelon. Would roll all over the floor in the room. I'd play games with the watermelon. I'd put my ear against it and I'd hear the ocean. And then one night I surprised the watermelon. I bought a beautiful rhinestone collar with a leash. I thought I'd take it out for a walk. At first I couldn't find the neck. And I kind of improvised with a knot here and there. And that night I took the watermelon out for its first walk. It was a beautiful night. The moon was bright. And I was dragging my watermelon down the street. I was at peace with the world. And I guess I got into such a tranquil state of mind that I wandered into a bad part of town. And a watermelon hater came out of an alley. And he shot a big hole in my watermelon. Did you ever hear a watermelon scream? I was standing there terrified with my watermelon wounded and the watermelon hater running in the opposite direction, shouting out something in Latin. Dominicos Meloni, which I found out later meant down with watermelons. There's a little phone booth nearby, and I ran in the phone booth. I looked through the yellow pages of the book, and I found a watermelon repairman. He was the only one in the book. In fact, the ad read he was the only one in the world. And I called him, and he asked me if I had any insurance, Blue Cross, United Fruit. I said, well, we can straighten that out later, but you got to help me. He said, okay, bring it over. And he took one look. He says, wow, that's a big hole you have in that watermelon. He said, you ought to watch it. These things don't grow on trees. And I thought, what a rotten joke to make at a time like this. He says, I don't know what I can do. It's lost a lot of water. I said, well, please do what you can. He disappeared into the watermelon repair room. Came out about a half hour later picking his teeth, and I knew there was no hope. They say when you lose your watermelon, you should buy another one immediately, but I couldn't. There wasn't a watermelon that could ever replace my watermelon. A friend of mine sent me a Persian cantaloupe. They're much cleaner than watermelons, but you can't trust them. I knew a guy who was so lonely he befriended a grapefruit. But they're vicious. They'll attack you. They go for the eyes.